Okay, what you're going to do now is make sure you have your materials. I'm sorry it took me just a few minutes there. Monomial is a number and a variable, or it can be a product of a number and variables. Examples are 15x, 3x squared, or 9x squared y to the 7th, negative 5 half x y to the 4th, or negative 6 over 4. Monomials with the same variable and exponents are like terms, and we can add and subtract if they have the same variable and they have the same exponent. To add and subtract monomials, you need to combine like terms. Be sure you remember that, only adding and subtracting. Do not change the variables and the exponents. Memorize these two rules. This is step 1 and step 2. Add and subtract monomials, combine like terms, and do not change the variables or the exponents. Very important. Let's look at the very first two. We see that you have 17x minus 25x. You're going to take the PEMDAS, think of PEMDAS, and you're going to do things in order. You're also going to do integer rules. Use your integer rules to add and subtract. So positive 17 minus 25 is a negative 8, and we just write the variable. This one right here, you have a negative 23 and a positive 6, which is negative 17y. And y squared is your variable, and your exponent, we were able to add it because they're the same. Look at number 2. We see that negative 15 and a positive 6 makes a negative 9. We see that these are a cubed, b, c. It's the same. We're able to just rewrite it. We were able to add or subtract it because it's the same. This one, we know when x squared y, that means it is a 1x squared y. That means 38 minus 1 would be 37, and it's an x squared y. I'm going to let you do 5 and 6 on your own for more practice on those type. Let's look at number 7. We see that both of these are fractions. We know that 5 and 3, when we add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. Well, the common denominator between 5 and 3 is 15. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 1 times 5 is 5. 6, take away because we are subtracting, 5 is 1/15. 1/15 CD squared, because the exponent and the variable stay the same. Number 8, we see that number 8 is just like terms, x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Negative 25 plus negative 25 is negative 50. So that is your final answer. Look at number 9. We have 4 terms. We see that 2 terms are the same with the same variable, and these 2 terms have the same variable. You cannot add 3 plus 9 plus 4 plus 3. You're going to have to only add 3 plus 4 is 7y minus, you have a plus 9 and you have a negative 3. So plus 9 and a negative 3 is a positive 6z. A positive 6z. I'll let you do number 10, 12, 11, and 12 together by yourself, doing the same, using the same way. When you look at sum means the answer to an addition problem. Difference means the answer to a subtraction problem. So when you write it, 16y minus 5y squared, negative 5y squared, is 11y squared, because 16 minus 5, because a plus and a minus makes a negative. When we look at this one, find the difference, 10x squared y minus 2x squared y is going to give you 8x squared y because you're finding the difference. Same thing, it says subtract 9a from 15a. That means 15a has to go first. You have a negative 15. Then you subtract 9, so it's a minus and a minus, which is not going to be 6a. It's going to be 24. It's going to be negative 24a. Because you have a negative and a negative. And so you're really going to just be adding those together. On this one right here, what I need you to do is from negative 9cd squared, subtract negative 2cd. Well, 9c squared minus a negative 2c squared d squared. That means you're going to add, this becomes an add, so you're going to have, the answer is going to be 7cd squared because you have a negative and a negative. You're subtracting a negative 2cd squared, which it makes a positive, a negative, and a negative make a positive. Let's look at multiplying. When we multiply monomials, you have the x and the x, so you multiply the two x's, which just makes an x, and then you multiply you add the exponents. So you're going to add the exponents. Very important that you remember that. So it's a plus b. So when we look at that, all you're going to do is you just x and x stays x. But then you add the exponents. 2 plus 3, x equal 5. When you have a is 9 plus 1 is a to the 10th. The a stays as a times a is a. W times w is w. You add your exponents. 7 plus 4 is w to the 11th power. When you look at examples with coefficients, you multiply the coefficient first, then you simplify the variables and with the product rule. So you have two steps: multiply the coefficients, then simplify using these rules right here. When you look at the first one, 12x, you have a 2 and a 5. You're multiplying. You see a dot right here. A dot means multiply. 2 plus 5, which is 12x to the 7th. Look at number 22. You multiply. 5 times 6 is 30. X squared plus, and x to the 4th would be x. 2 plus 4 equals 30. X to the 6th. Because you have a 2 and a 4. You add those exponents. So your final answer is 30, x to the 6th. Look at this one right here. We have both in parentheses. You multiply your coefficients. The 4 and the 3, you have a negative 4, which makes a negative 12. Negative 12a, 3 plus 2, and a b, 1 plus 5. Equals negative 12, a to the 5th, b to the 6th. And that's your final answer. Look at 25. You're going to multiply positive 8 times a negative 3, which is a negative 24. X to the 4th, x to the 4th would be 4 plus 4. Y to the 2nd, y to the 9th would be 2 plus 9. 24, x to the 8th, y to the 11th. You just add those exponents. Look at 27. You have three things. We know that when it's just AB, it means 1AB. Negative AB would be a negative 1AB. So 1 times 6 is 6. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6, and that's where we get that negative 6 from. A, 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 1 more is 7, a to the 7th. B1, B2, B3, b to the 3rd. And all you did was add those. Same goes here. Negative 2 times a positive 3 is a negative 6. X to the 4th, we have 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x. I could rewrite this term right here that looks like this. So x to the 4th, y, 1y, 2y, 3, 4, 5. 5y. So my answer is negative 6x to the 4th, y to the 5th. Number 31, when the negative 4 is outside, remember you always do the parentheses first when you're working with PEMDAS, would be, so you have negative 5 r to the 5th, negative 4 times, let me rewrite that, negative 4 times negative 5 r, you have an r1 plus r4 is r5, and s2 and s1 is s3. So then you multiply the negative 4 times the negative 5 gives you 20. Gives you 20, r to the 5th, s to the 3rd. Let's look at 32. 32, it's a fraction. So you take the 6 over 1, it's a negative, and the 1/2, you multiply that, you get 6 halves equals negative 3. That's where we get our negative 3. A squared plus a1 is a3. b1 plus b1 is b squared. And that is your final answer. 34, you have a 1/4 outside of the parentheses. So do the parentheses first. You get 48, 1/4, 48 m cubed n cubed. Okay? Then you take 48 over 1 times 1/4 gives you negative 48 over 4, which is negative 12. And that's where I got my negative 12 right there. M cubed, n cubed. And then you will do at the mixed practice. Remember, you're adding here, so you're going to use the addition rule. You're subtracting here, you're going to do the subtraction rule. You are multiplying right here, so you're going to use the multiply rule. And you're multiplying right here, you're going to use the multiplication rule. So you'll do this equation, you'll do this equation, then you'll add the two together. And this will wrap up today's lesson. So what you need to do to turn in to me, finish the problems for practice. And then where it says this one for homework, I need you to take this page and do that one page for your homework lesson and upload it into Google Docs. And not Google Docs, and then add it to the Google Classroom. What you're going to do is you're going to take a picture using Genius Scan. Use Genius Scan, upload it into your phone, take a picture, email it to yourself so it's free on your Google account, on your Gmail account. Then upload it to your Google Drive under your, you can call them homework pages, and put it into that folder, and then upload it to your Google Classroom. And that would complete this lesson. Be sure you look to see, today you're going to do lesson 1 and lesson 2, so you will need to do the next video for lesson 2. Thank you. Have a good day. Good luck on your homework.